Okay, guess we're up and running again. Ooh. Yeah, I feel like this is a little small in here. Tilt this maybe just slightly better. I don't know. Well, welcome in. Hopefully things are working. I'm again dual streaming to YouTube. Hey DCI, what's going on? Oh shit, yes. You've been working out? No. Maybe I got a haircut. I did get a haircut. That's about it. I have not been working out, not at all. Although I have been thinking I should get back to doing stuff again. It was funny, I was at work and I was telling somebody about, he was like, nothing's new under the sun. And you know, it's funny, like he was saying this, he was talking to this cute girl, and we were sitting there, he knew the girl, I didn't. And I was like, you know, nothing new under the sun. I do stuff, like I try to make new things. And he was like, oh, what do you do? So I have a patent actually on some corkscrew I made years ago. And he was like, you should sell that. I was like, you know, I really should sell my patent to somebody. So it's like, I should be doing stuff. I have not been working out, but I should be working out. I was thinking I have to get back to like like 2019 thought, like 2017. What was I doing in like 2017, 2018? Like good 5 fucking years ago, back to like the before times. What did I actually want to do? I don't know. But that's kind of what I've been thinking like the last few days, because I've been rewriting philosophy papers. I've got like all this stuff to do, and it's like, well, what do I want to be doing? It's like I've got a ton of stuff to do. It's like I want to get this paper done. Like I want to talk to people. I talked to some philosophy peoples. Not some. I talked to one of the philosophy peoples I know, and he's like, why don't you apply to grad school? You don't. He's like, you don't even care about a PhD. You could apply to grad school.
Seems good 42. I need to hear about this corkscrew.
I have a patent on a keychain beer and wine bottle opener. I do. So I have a new patent on a corkscrew, one of the older devices that in like modern times. And yeah, so like I guess like it really, there's not, since you guys already, I have my name in like this, there's really no harm in getting the link. I don't have it right here though, but I could find it. Like, you know, I could literally go like, this is what I had to do. I couldn't find my stuff on my phone, and I had to go to like the US patent search. Maybe I'll do the Google patents. Google patents. I think their search is slightly, I don't know if it's any better. Corkscrew bottle keychain. Let's see how many results we get. Yeah. You know, sort by date actually. Newest. You have a, I don't have an MS degree. I have semiotics, yeah. Patents. What, do you find it already? Aris, what's up? And you know, it's interesting. The TTS worked a minute ago, and it did not work this time. Thank you for the 100 bits, and keep applying to NY until they let you in. Yeah, you found it already? Okay, there. I was like, I'm not... Like, you could just probably search by my name. Yeah, corkscrew and bottle opener apparatus. This is correct. This is me. We got my pictures? Why are there no pictures? I paid money for those fucking pictures. Yeah, whatever. Patents and DOI is more important. Yeah, so this is correct. This is me. So what are we doing? Yeah, where's my dag nabbit? Let's go down to the bottom. Thank you for finding the DCI. Yeah, let's see. See, Noah from Dobbs Ferry. That's me. Why is there no like link to my fucking yeah, I don't know. They don't have a link to the pictures. That's kind of weird on this website, but all right. Claims, references. Oh, yeah, strange shit. Okay, but yeah. I think the first to give is break the TTS. It's possible. Let me go see. I'm just gonna reset this stupid thing again. It says it is working. Like, it says it's working. It's like, no, it should be fine. Fucking stupid thing. But yeah, thanks for the 100 bits, Arisa. You know, I was talking to a grad student. He was like, you don't even care about the PhD. Just go get yourself in a PhD program and then don't do any of the work. I was like, well, that's what I want to do, but I feel a little bit bad about lying to these people, actually. So, yeah. he was like, he just kind of shrugged at that. I was like, I guess, yeah. And so here's the PDF. This is all public data, so it's not like I can, you know my name, and I said I had a patent, so it's easy enough to find. So these aren't the most descriptive images. It's basically this. It's like you've got the corkscrew on a rope, and then you've got a hole in the top of the thing, so you can do it. But like there's a bottle opener piece, so you can open bottles like this way. And then you've got this sort of, you can just untwist the rope and put your key through the top of the beer bottle opener and use that as leverage. So, yeah. So thank you. This is what's been going on. I've just been like, this is something, what year did this come out? This only came out in, February 13th, 2020. But, like, this had been going for years. Getting a patent takes a long fucking time. You also like that it's colored grue? Did I do that? I forget. Yeah. And, so, like, this came out in 2020 or 2021? Like, 2020, I guess. Yeah, and so, like, things just went kind of screwy in 2021 and for me. So, like, it wasn't, I just kind of lost the thread. Of course, everything was going wrong in coronavirus times. Other things went wrong in my life, and it's like, what are you gonna do? So this is what I was doing. So I was thinking, get back to other things. Like I've just been sitting around doing the same shit for years, many years at this point. So it's like I'm still gonna keep streaming. It's just maybe I'll get paid some other way. Who knows? But like so this is what I was thinking. Something about that line of at least go try to sell it to somebody. I'm not a manufacturer. What would I know about like making corkscrews and metal and metallurgy and things like that? But like I do have that patent. They can't take that away from me. It's in my name. And it's like, yeah. So something to do. It's like one of those like things. All right. So things are kind of working. Oh my god, I didn't have it on the screen. I thought I did. So I was like trying to show you guys what I was like scrolling up and down, and I didn't even realize. So like I could like show it. So yeah, copy link. God damn it, me. Fail at every being a good streamer. So yeah, it's like again. So this is what it looks like for people on stream. Because I'm also on YouTube here, so it's like, no, I don't want this. Well, whatever. Don't know how to get rid of the yeah, so I thought this was on screen and I didn't. I'll give you 200,000 bits for it. I mean, what is that, $200? Dude, the images, to get these images made and labeled and properly done was something like $450. So, like, the images themselves cost more money than you're paying for, the patent. So yeah, so basically, you have a little bit of a corkscrew on a string with a beer bottle opener at the end of it, but the beer bottle opener has a hole in it. And then you can put you unfurl the string, you put the key through the hole in the beer bottle opener, and then you got leverage to put the corkscrew through the cork. So yeah. Hey Cowdeer, how you been? Saw you the other night in Aris' stream, so been a bit. So welcome back. So yeah, I have this. And it's a nice weapon. Yeah, I mean, this is one of those things. You are, I think, allowed to take, yeah, okay. Over dipping. Yeah, I think you're allowed to take corkscrews on airplanes. I checked when I was, looking at, like, making this. Would this be TSA compliant, at least in the United States? I know not all of you are U.S. citizens, but like I think corkscrews of like this size, like it's really a small thing, would be TSA compliant, but I really wouldn't push it. Years ago, like this was like closer to like 9/11. I was getting on a plane and I had one of those like small, and I mean like the little ones, nail clippers, and it had like the little file on it, and like the little file that swings off with like a little pointy tip. So this is like a weak piece of metal that you really like. This is like a pencil is a more dangerous thing than that was. And the guy was like looking at it in my bag, and he was talking it over with one of his buddies. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, well, I'm considering like this might be dangerous. I'm like, no, it's yours. Like, I don't want it. Like you touched it, like whatever. He's like, no, it's okay. It's like, no, you like, it's yours now. I don't want it anymore now that you touched it. Like, went through it. He had gloves on and whatever. But, like, he was, like, insulted, like, oh, no, like, it's yours. I'm like, no, you take it. You want it. Because he was being a dickhead, worrying about, like, a fucking little, like, that, like, 1-inch file. Not a blade, but a file on a thing. And I was like, oh, my God. So I got annoyed with that guy. I was like, no, it's yours. He's like, well, I'm going to throw it out. I was like, I don't care what you do with your property. And then I went through, but I was like, these fucking people. But that's why I had to look this up, because, like, stupid shit going through the airports, like, would a little corkscrew screw with you? And no one needs that sort of hassle. Yeah. If I build it, the terrorist wins. It's an undocumented self-defense feature built into it. Yeah. No. So I actually was like, I looked this stuff up. Now, one of the things I said, all right, so you've got like a curved piece of metal with like a hole in it. Lots of things use like that sort of things. Like, so could you put like a hex bolt in there? Could it be a smoking device? I asked my lawyer, like, would this be like, you know, a cigarette holder? Could you call it a cigarette holder to like cover all your bases? Could you cover all your uses? He said, don't put anything like that in your patent, because if it has anything to do with like maybe illicit drugs, they will immediately just block it. So it's like, there are a lot of little things. Like, if you have a, like, you know, a little stick with a hole on it and you're using it as like, you know, cigarette holder, like the old timey cigarette holders, nope, don't do it. So, yeah. Like, but like, that's all legit questions when it comes to patents and how do you do it, and like, there's so many little things. So one thing that I was talking to the guy today at work because his buddy wants to get a patent. I was saying, look, you can't say glue. You have to say things like affix, because if, like, you know, you're combining pieces of metal or pieces of plastic and they don't use a glue, they use like maybe a welding thing or some other sort of like, you know, they tie it with a bolt, like they put a bolt through it, then they didn't glue it, and then your patent is no good for anything that is like, you know, welded or bolted together. So you have to use all sorts of like legalese. It's technical writing. Yeah. I asked my lawyer from New York, well, dude, I went and got a lawyer to do this. Like, you think getting a patent is easy? It's not easy, and it's easy to fuck up. It's like technical language. If you go through and read this, and thank you for getting the links, DCI. Like, you can read this, and you will see that, like, there is plenty of shit that, like, is legalese. Like, for example, the present is the summary. So, yeah, summary. The present application is directed to a compact pocket-sized apparatus with a keyring that can be used to open corked and capped bottles. When the apparatus is stored, the tip of the corkscrew is shielded in a manner that prevents the corkscrew tip from puncturing objects that come into contact with the apparatus when the corkscrew is not in use. By shielding the tip of the corkscrew, the apparatus may be stored in a pocket without the corkscrew tip being free to puncture the pocket material. And it goes on like that. And like, it's like, so yeah, like, so here. Let me, So, a piece comprising of a corkscrew with a point at one end and a bottle opener with a slot capable of receiving a rigid opposite at the opposite end, and a second piece comprising a flexible strand is connected to a keyring, wherein the first piece is connected to the second piece through the flexible strand, and the first piece and the second piece of the apparatus can be arranged in two modes comprising, and it goes on. Like, do you think normal people know how to write like this? No. Like, you need a professional that knows this stuff. It's like, you can try to like do technical writing, but like, even I know we've got programmers in chat. I know we've got technical people in chat, but this is a highly like specialized kind of writing and sort of like way of like describing things. Legalese. This is my patent application. No, not application. This is my patent. This is my patent. This is not an application. This is a patent publication. U.S. patent publication. So as of February 13th, 2020, I have a patent publication, not application. So, yeah. So. And like I was telling the guy, my lawyer, who I got pro bono because I have no money, which is fine sometimes, but like I got this pro bono lawyer here in New York who works for a very fancy law firm. He has a degree in like organic chemistry. No, he has a PhD in organic chemistry and then also a law degree. And what he does is he works on patents for like big pharmaceutical companies making drugs and processing ways to make drugs. So like if you have a new procedure to make a drug, he can patent that so no one else can do it. Or if you make a new brain drug and you want to like, you know, have a patent on that brain drug and not just keep it a corporate secret, then he's the guy that they would go to. So it's like, I made a model of one caudillo. I don't have a working one. I made one out of copper, which is not strong enough to be a actual corkscrew, but because you put a lot of torque on that, so it would bend if I tried to actually take it up. Ooh. Ivan, welcome in. How you doing? Globus, welcome in. How you doing? Hey! Yeah, so give Ivan a shout out. Ivan. What's up, Ivan? How's solipsism treating you? I guess it's all your problem if it's all solipsistic. Welcome in. Also, yeah, besides Ivan, if you don't know Ivan, he's a science, philosophy, rationality streamer. And we've got some other people in chat also. So give Ivan a follow. Click on the top of the chat if you know. Are those hands? Yes, they are hands. It's amazing. These are hands, and they're real hands, and that's how you know you're in the real world, because Moore taught us, G.E. Moore taught us that here's a hand, hands are external objects, therefore the external world exists. Done. We have proved the external world exists, and solipsists are wrong. But yeah, we also have Globus the Elder in chat, who talks about AI and like society, which is fun times. G.E. Moore. I forget his what the G and the E stand for, but Moore. He was this guy at the turn of last century that was kind of big. His name isn't as big now, but he was one of like Wittgenstein's teachers, and like was working with him for a long time in England. And so, yeah. And if you are dealing with anything in late Wittgenstein where he's talking uncertainty, he's talking all about almost exclusively like Moorian problems. Gargantuan Erection Moore. Exactly, Aris. Also, we have Aristotle in chat, who y'all should know and follow if you have not done that. He's a philosopher of classics, ancient Greek and Roman philosophy, especially the Cynics. Also an ethicist. So, yeah. Yeah, so, let's see. So, I'll give him a shout out in a minute also. But yeah, so we've got some philosophers and streamers in chat. I was showing people, I have a patent. I was, taking public transport a few years back, and I was on the Metro North, like the commuter rail, not on the subway. Subway you can't drink on. On the commuter rail, you can drink on it. So I was sitting around drinking beer on the commuter rail, and I decided I didn't want to drink any more beer. I wanted to drink some wine. So I came up with a way that I could open up a wine bottle with a keychain. You don't actually find too many keychain wine bottle openers. So I have a patent on a keychain beer and wine opener apparatus. And I was thinking today, because something came up at work, and this patent came up, and I was like, I need to get back. I need to get to doing different things. I've been doing the same shit for so fucking long. So I'm getting back to like old things, like things I've been doing for years. I'm starting to think about that stuff. So it's weird times. Like, everything's weird nowadays. But it's like, getting back to like the old ideas from like before pandemic times. What am I doing? Like, why am I doing this shit? So yeah, so basically you unfurl the the cable from the corkscrew, and then you put a key through the slot in the top, and you can pull out a wine bottle, or you can just use it as you normally would. If you can see, like the rope is still through the corkscrew here, and then use it as a beer bottle opener. So this is the thing. Yeah, so G.E. Moore. So you put up that argument for solipsism. You don't know you're not a brain vat, and if you don't know you're not a brain vat, then you don't know you have hands. Therefore, you don't know you don't have hands. So it's like, how do you be like, well, you don't know that you're not a brain vat, and if you don't know that, then you can't tell that this is a hand. Therefore, you don't know that you have hands. Moore knew this argument. He just flips on his head. He just turns the direction around and says, well, I know I have hands. Therefore, by modus tollens on, if you don't know the world is, you're not a brain and vat, then you don't have hands. Well, I know I have hands, so therefore the consequent is false, which means the antecedent, the first part, that you don't know you're a brain in the vat, that also has to be false. So you do know you're not a brain in the vat. And the question is, now, all of a sudden, if one person says, I know I have hands, and the other person says, you don't know you're not a brain in the vat, the arguments are structurally exactly the same, just in the opposite direction. And who do you believe at that point? So that's the thing. Yeah, so we got a little pointing up in the chat. Yeah. So the question is why? And I think Ivan was discussing correctly that you basically, the idea that you're a brain in the vat means nothing in the end. Like, you have to just go on with your life no matter what. Like, if we're all in the Matrix and we can't get out, we just have to rely on Neo and Trinity and Morpheus to save our ass. But the rest of us, we just keep going on. So in some sense, it's a inconsequential theory that we're solipsistic. But he also got, before I left, the point is never that, like, everyone knows, or everyone that matters doesn't care for like a solipsistic arguments. The question is, what do you say that's different? When Moore just flipped the solipsistic argument on its head and be like, no, I know I have a hand. That was like, oh wait, you can just do that? You can just be like, nah, I have a hand, therefore the external world exists. And that's like, then the task became explaining why that is either legitimate or illegitimate. I've heard people call it infamous, like famous or infamous, that you can just like flip the argument around. So it's like one person's modus ponens is another person's modus tollens. This is just, you know, what it is. Yes, Caudio, they do. You can see, you can't see, you probably can't read at this size, but it says background, Chinese patent number, this one, European patent number, this one, and then like there's at least a few, and there might even be one more that was listed someplace else in this thing. So you have to go find prior art. And if you look online, there's something that is kind of structurally similar to this, but it's not like a keychain. It's just like a bigger object, but it kind of looks like something similar, and it doesn't use a rope. It uses a metal pin. So it's like there are other things out there. You should see improvements to the design. Oh yeah, so CinemaX, when do you want to like announce your website? Oh wow, what is this? What dangerous, scary looking biomedical shit is this? Oh my god. Yo, this is awesome though. Look at that. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, because it made a whole screwy thing of my device. Checking patent applications against other patents would be like the worst job ever. Yeah, that's what Einstein was doing. He was a patent clerk when he was writing his theories of relativity. He was a patent clerk. That was his job. It's basically a research position, a kind of a boring one. But like, it's not the worst thing ever. It's like you're searching the internet all day. It's like go find images, go find stuff. It's not gonna be exactly. When his wife was, well, that's fair. When his wife was writing the theory of relativity, Einstein was a patent clerk, and then he, well, published it in his name. So yeah, so that, yeah. I don't know the history as well enough. Well, I'm sure history will just take over that job. I expect so. Like the search engines, all the search engines, like not all of them. The U.S. government has a search engine, and Google has a search engine for this. And so I'm sure that the patent clerks are now using whatever the latest search engine tech is to help them do their job, which would be good because it takes a very long time to get the patent application approved, and so anything that would speed that up would be good. So it's like, yeah, get your patent approved in 10 minutes. You know, that'd be dangerous. You still want a human to look at some of this stuff, but like you could, if they had all the information more quickly, then yeah. Like this was going on during the pandemic for me, so it was like it took on my patent, like the final, I got an extra year of like a patent coverage because they took so long to review it. So I was under patent pending for like an extra year. So you get that time that they're patent pending, you get that time back. You want me to announce it because it's easier to explain quickly by voice. Just share that link and I'll fill you out any gaps. Okay. I know a guy that worked for the U.S. Patent Office. Their job was to deny as many patent applications as possible. I'm not surprised. Basically, that is a job. It's like an insurance. You don't just give out like money willy-nilly. You don't give patents out willy-nilly. You want to make sure that something new has shown up. And so mine is new apparently. And that was fine. But like if you have like stuff that is really not that different, then yeah, they're going to reject you. I mean, that is a job. Our patents approved in the order they are received. They are studied they are given to like patent examiners in the order that they are received. Yes. I don't know if there are special circumstances that could, get around that. Like if you have some sort of like very important military patent or something else like that, maybe there's some government related things that could be done, but I don't know. Cinesemiac says it's supposed to be exceedingly difficult to patent something because it's the fine line between innovation and bullshit. Yes. And you know what I'm good at? Innovation and bullshit. So it's like, this is what I can do. Patents are not approved for the first time unless they are stunningly innovative. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. This was approved. Like, it took them actually 2 weeks to approve it, which is very fast once they started looking at it. Same for Social Security disability. Yeah, because this is what I was saying. It's like the same as insurance. They don't want to just be giving out money. They don't want to, like, fill claims. Like, their job is to protect the business, which is to deny as much as possible so that, like, whatever else can go on, can go on. But, like, yeah, this is, yeah, that's how it goes. They want to keep the options open as wide as possible for everyone else and not, like, have as many patents, like, give everyone a patent, because then, it'd be harder and harder for anyone to really come up with anything new because there's just too much to wade through. So, yeah. Speaking of other new things, I do have a new paper published. It's in chat. I'm going to go drop it in the YouTube as well. I am dual streaming to YouTube again today. So I don't know if there's anyone there, but you could, see. So am I going to start selling these or what? I'd like to. I would like to be paid. Yes, I would. So oh God, YouTube. Why, YouTube? You are so lame. They're, you can't hide the chat window. Even if you pop the chat out, the chat window is blocks, like, a part of the page. So, like, if you shrink the window so it's, like, off to the side, I can't see anything on their fucking, like, stupid creator live page. Like, come on, you assholes. Okay, so in other news, now that we got some people here, our wonderful Cinesemiotics in chat has made the Philosophy Roulette Fan Art Project, also known as Collective Agency and Collective Artistry Fan Art Project, or CACA-FAP for short.
You're winning,
so,
sir. Oh, thank you very much.
Gorgo 114.
Thank you for the 114 bits. We are going over the CACA-FAP project at the moment. And so this, actually, where's that better link? You had a better link. Let me get the better link to throw in chat. Copy link. Okay, so I'm going to throw it in chat. And what this is, well, this is, as it says on the page, it says this is a game. Well, not this part. In fact, nothing about this form is itself a game. The game comes later. Welcome to the Collective Agency and Collective Artistry Fan Art Project, or CACA-FAP for short. This is, as you can see, he is one of our long-standing community members with having that name. So you just got to put your Twitch username in, like, easy peasy. Then what you do is, from this list below, you assign 2 distinct articulated inputs, or AIs, named for the purpose of ensuring confusion. So you want to have, like, a philosopher who is well known, a logical fallacy, a scenario with poses of philosophical questions. No, the link to use is unfound.art. Okay. Yeah, this one here. Okay, yeah. So the one Cinesemiac has, use that one. Not the one that shows up in the Google Docs. So you pick 2 of these. Let's go with a philosopher who's well known. Let's go with Dan Dennett. And a logical fallacy. Let's go with begging the question. So enter the term, person, or scenario URL for you checked. All right, so where is that? So first we got Dan Dennett. And then we've got, he's begging the question. And then, so what is going to happen at that, this will get sent off into the ether, and Cinesemiotics may do some magic of some sort, and then we will get more fan art. Oh, I didn't even put my name in. Gotta do that. So remember to put your name in. Submit. Yeah, so I am filling mine out on screen, and there we go. Yeah, I think you're a few seconds behind me, but it is done. So there we go. So now we're gonna have some more fan art, which is really cool. Yeah. So this is the fan art page, and let's see. You know what? Let's copy link. Well, something like this. Okay, I'll worry about bookmarking this page later. But anyway, like everyone, if you want to participate, you don't have to, but go fill out the form, and you see, it's easy. Throw your name in. You grab a few different things. You don't have to like know anything. You could have like a scenario with poses, a philosophical question, a picture or something. You have to provide the URL, like anything you want, and then it will get matched up. So this should be good. And we thank Cinesemiotics for providing content, because stream content is actually not so easy, and we appreciate it. Thank you. One thing is going to be open to other AI art makers here or anyone for the next few rounds. Okay, cool. So yeah, so get your roulette Kaka FAP submissions in now while it's available. Test drive for a contest one. Oh, I did not know there was a contest coming. That would be exciting. Yeah, so the best, seeds, like AI seeds for making like philosophy art or fan art, that's a cool thing. Yeah, so who has the best different sort of like inputs to the AI? And then you can be like an AI mancer or something, or AI whisperer. Okay, so this is a little fun thing going on here. CineSemX, should I also post this to the YouTube chat? I don't think I have anyone there at the moment, but hey, I could throw it up on that. So, this is a test run. Serve it as an example. Okay. Yeah, something like this. Okay. Cool. So, can also throw the link other places. Copy link. More will be revealed. Dun dun dun. Yeah. Okay. So there we go. Go ahead. Yeah, so now it is also up on the YouTube chat. So anyone who shows up there will be like, what is this? Oh, I can participate in the Kaka FAP project. And hooray. So PR FAP or Kaka FAP, whichever you prefer. Yeah, they could always have entered fake names. Like, that's also the thing about this. If we had like the email there, like they could have put in fake email. Your Twitch username is always fake. What do you reckon to this? What do we got here, DCI? Yep. Oh, this is History of Philosophy Without Any Gaps. This is excellent. Yeah, I mean, I don't listen to this, but I've heard one or two of these in the past. This guy's really good. So, like, it's good. If you are interested in history of philosophy and all things, they've got huge amounts of shit, like just ridiculous amount of like stuff, like anything you want to talk about, like you can talk about this. So it's like, yeah, go ahead. So you want to know? Wait a sec. Where's Diogenes? Is there no Diogenes here? If Aris is in chat, is there no Diogenes? Interesting. I don't see, it gets a little boring in some episodes. Yeah, it's philosophy. Like, it's gonna get a bit boring. Let's see. Is there anything? I don't see a, because, like, Diogenes is not a pre-Socratic. He was around in the time of, like, Plato and stuff. Yeah, exactly, Iris. Why don't you get your, little, talk on this? Like, I don't see a, Diogenes or a Cynics on this. And that would be, a gap in the history of philosophy here, which is it's not even a small gap. This would be a known gap. People like Diogenes. He's been a famous character forever. Like, people like to paint him with like his dogs or in his like barrel or like with his robe on. Like, so it's a famous thing. So the idea that like we don't have when you have something on Hippocrates or Anaxagoras or Empedocles and you don't have the Cynics or at least Diogenes, that's something. Let's see. Is he? Yeah, so we've got Stoic crap. Fuck the Stoics, of course. But Stoic physics, Stoic logic is good. Everything else they can go. Oh, here we go. Cynics over here. They call it later so they don't have the early one. Okay, so this is the thing. They kind of mistime it. Because there were later Cynics, of course, too. In this episode, we unleash the most outrageous ancient philosophers, Diogenes, the Cynics, and their quest to deface the currency by exposing the hypocrisy of Greek society. So, if anything, they have it in late antiquity, and it's later antiquity, and it's not. Like, it's just not if you're talking Diogenes. That's weird. under Hellenistic philosophy. So they have it kind of mischaracterized, but okay, not as terrible as I thought. Maybe he just isn't the main topic. Maybe they view him as a footnote and they were standing on principle. Yeah, well, that's what happened. They mischaracterized him. That's exactly it in semiotics. They mischaracterized Diogenes because there were also later cynics, but then they ended up having to talk about Diogenes because he's the most fun one, and it's but he was around he was like arguing with Plato and shit. So it's like he doesn't count as a later antiquity person. He's in the classical Greek times with like Socrates and Plato and Aristotle. So, yeah, weird. So just weird that it's grouped this way. But yeah. And this is the problem with narrative history. Yes, that is one of the problems. So I was like, how could they have like missed him? Like, I don't know if you can see the image. Like if it's just really that small. Yeah, it's just teeny. But like, it's like, this is like, if this was missed, it would have been like, this would have been a bad gap, but they just mischaracterized it, or categorized. Yeah, not characterized, categorized. Yeah. So, did you have anything you want to say about it, DCI? But like, yeah, it's like one of these like big things that like one of the nice things we have, like the SEP, is like if you have something in philosophy you want to go look up, you can go read the SEP article. You can go to History of Philosophy without any gaps. I know people in Aris's community, we've had like some truck drivers, and so they were always listening to podcasts, and so this sort of thing was invaluable to them. CinemaX says, well, wait, you have asked the opposite question, as in, does he really deserve to have been in that position in the first place, or is it because he's famous that he's famous? Oh, you found it today. Okay, yeah, this is one of the things that every so often when people say, what should I do to get into philosophy if I don't know anything? It's like, or I'm interested in a topic. This is one of the things we have quite often referenced in over the years, I think, between me and Aris. We have. Yeah, cinesemiotics, the answer is yes. It was like for all those reasons. Like, he's famous because he's famous, and so that is a good enough reason that someone saying history of philosophy without any gaps should at least mention them a little bit. And then he should get the position also because it is a non-trivial position, even within Greek, ancient Greek philosophy. Like, people reference this stuff. It was like it was known. So it wasn't like it was a nobody in philosophy. It was a somebody, and people would argue with them, and, you know, that was the thing. So, a little bit of both. Thanks for recommending it to me earlier then. Yes, you're welcome, DCI. You're 100% welcome for our prior recommendations. So yeah, this is what I've been thinking about, like stuff. Cloacas. Yes, we were discussing cloacas. I was very proud of myself, actually, when I came up yesterday with the ass ceviche, although that's not my terminology. The ass ceviche solution to the can you cook an egg in your butt? So that was still an open question. I saw, like, no one came up with a reason why that couldn't work. It just might be painful. But, like, I was like, you know, there's probably an alternative. Cheers. Thank you, Cinesemiotics, for giving a gift sub to DCI. And I'd also like to get me some more emotes. I mean, according to TwitchCon, they said that they're going to open up more emote slots. I don't know if that's for partners or for everybody. But I've been on Twitch a long time now. I have a much better idea. Like, when I made my first emotes, like, I made them. No one uses them except for me to, like, demonstrate what a duck rabbit is or, like, an illusion. Like, I like my duck rabbit. And I didn't make that, by the way. I had that for years. I found that on the internet in, like, Internet 2.0 days. I'm not kidding. Like, this is old internet, and it disappeared off the internet. And if you search for my duck rabbit, like, it all comes back to me, actually. Like, it was on the internet at a certain point, and this internet was so old that it got lost off the internet until I brought it back. Like, I found it on the internet, it got deleted off the internet, and then when I brought it back, all links go back to me at this point. I know that because I looked. Yes, more emotes. So, like, I want a salute emote because salutes are good to say hi, and they also, like, do respect and things like that. Not an F, like not really like an F emote, but just like a welcome, like a salute. Yeah. Yeah, detective works on Great Box, exactly. Detective Chief Inspector, of course, Banks. So like stuff like that. It's like I know too much shit at this point, and I'm angry, and I have to like do something. Thank you for gifting Globus. Anyway, like I should do a more proper shout outs. I mentioned and gave the links earlier, but we need to give Aris a shout out because he's here. He's not always here, or at least he's lurking. I don't call out lurkers. So yeah, if you don't follow Aris and you are here, go follow Aris. He's a classic philosopher of classic philosophy, ancient Roman cynics, and an ethicist. And let's see. What am I doing? I'm a bad streamer. Can't remember anything. So, thank you for gifting Globus. Yes, and hey Valpo, how's it going? The Globus never sleeps. Oh man. Aris, I'm working on that paper, and I was, oh my god, I have to get like so fucking pedantic with these people. Like I just want like smack, 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 smack. What is wrong with you fuckheads? Like, oh my god. But like everything can be done. So it all can be done. Yeah. How you doing, Valpo? Hope your semester is going well. Valpo is a professor of philosophy. He has tenure. Oh man. Well, yeah, I was saying earlier, I don't know if you were here for it, but one of my guys I know, he was saying, why don't you just go apply to a philosophy program and just don't do the work? Like, force them to kick you out. Like, you'll get funding for like 2 years or something. I'm like, I just feel bad about that. But like, I was like, why don't you just go get funding? Like, someone will give me funding. Like, I gotta go like work this out, see if like it actually makes sense. But like, make more money. He's like, you're doing philosophy anyway. I'm like, that's true. And you shouldn't get paid. You shouldn't do something, like you shouldn't work for free nowadays. Can we just agree that the word pedagogy sounds not only gross, but also is unpleasant to say phonetically? Pedagogy. Pedagogy. Yes, I can agree with that. Pedagogy. Pedagogy. Okay, so what are we doing today? Is Tindarios here? Paging Tindarios, are you here? Because if you are here, we can read what you wanted. If you are not here, I'm not going to read the Nietzsche. Like, he wanted me to read some Nietzsche, and I'm not going to read it if he ain't here. So, I'll go read something else and wait for Tindarios to show back up. And, yeah. So, yeah. I don't know. Let's see. What are we doing? Otherwise, yeah, we can go, like, unless anyone has some questions, we can go look at what's going on in the world of philosophy. Let's see, was there something on Daily News I want to look at, too? Yeah, what the fuck is zombie plagiarism? And Srinivasan wins inaugural Naif Al-Radin Transdisciplinary Philosophy Award. Why are there so many big little words in this sentence? Good for Amiya Srinivasan. Some guy died of cancer. Wahid Hussein Memorial Award. Oh, speaking of, I saw actually that the SCP has an updated article on. They have an article on cancer, so I might go read that. Like, I know like people die of cancer. It's annoying, and I know people like this, so it's yeah, things to do. It's like I just remembered, like I saw that, and like it's interesting. And that guy, you know, apparently great philosopher. A lot of like good articles, good books, and like people were expecting more good things out of him. Cancer. Bye. Happens. Alright, so what's zombie plagiarism? I just wanted to know what this was. Some philosophy articles might be exposed as containing plagiarized material, might have editorial notes appended to them indicating as much, or might even be retracted, yet no matter how thoroughly or how many times their plagiarism is noted, they will continue to be cited in the literature and affect the course of scholarship. Seemingly unkillable such articles constitute what we can call the problem of zombie plagiarism. Dun dun dun. Okay, so this is dumb. So yeah, a lot of plagiarism, and you know, people don't realize it. So this is the thing. Okay, so basically, once you get yourself published and you start getting cited, it has a compounding effect. This is called the Peter principle, because in the Bible it says you bring to Peter, well, like it's bring unto Peter, like what is it quote? It's like he who has, you bring more. So it's like once you get like a little bit of traction, it gets the ball rolling, and you can't get it anywhere else. This gets repeated over time and time over again. You see, I know Viper's Gratitude always pulls in network effects. So once you have a network of a certain size, like a certain number of connections, like on the web or some other sort of like business connections, then what happens is it becomes very hard to take that down, because the way that the information flows between the nodes in the network, between like websites or whatever, then it becomes self-sustaining. And so this is the sort of thing. Once these sort of plagiarism things come together, once you get a reference network, it becomes self-sustaining. Now, philosophers have known this. People have been referencing their friends and patting each other on the back for years, and this is how they build up reputations. All the fancy people at the universities all reference each other, and then that raises them up, and no one else can kind of break in, because all the fancy people have already referenced each other, and you're sort of like excluded, because you can never get that many fancy references on your work at all. Yeah. This is funny. I recall Professor Steele, one of the scholars Stone plagiarized, saying at the time that the plagiarism came out that Stone's article was indeed better than his own because it fixed a few typos. That's fun. Things are not better in other fields. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so this is always something in philosophy. What are like actually citation rates? What does it actually come down to? And a lot of times these things are I don't know how, like, again, speaking of Web 2.0, do you guys remember link chains and like link circles where like you'd have blog links? So you would link to someone else's blog, and they would link to somebody else's, and it would make a big chain, and then so people could find similar content by following the blog circle or whatever it was called. We have the same thing here. It's called raids on Twitch. We raid into someone that we think is good, and then they raid into someone else that you're good, and this is how you find, good streamers. Like, for example, Pirate Software is maybe the last person that I consistently watch. No, it's not true. I could watch a little bit of Elisa Prey, but Pirate Software, he is a programmer and is in my things I'm interested in. He does game programming, but I can track all the way back from every raid that I got from a recommended streamer a long time ago, every raid that eventually took me to that person. Yeah, Cyber Circle Jerk, exactly, Unreal Brian. But you want to know what the sad part is? You say Cyber Circle Jerk. This is the best way we have of finding good content. You tell me, Unreal Brian, where do you find the streamers you like to watch from? Does it come up on your recommended list that Twitch recommends, or is it from someone that you are already watching that be like, oh yeah, this guy is cool, that lady is awesome, that whatever else is crazy and you should go watch him? This is what happens. It's the best we got, and I say it it sucks. It isn't that good. The algorithm isn't great, but when you get the personal recommendation, it does sort of help out. Oh, this person is good and this is the reason why. There's more context, more things to do. And so it's I can tell you the story. It's T-Pain raided Electric Mermaid, who... Ivan, thank you for the...
Uni bits. 100, we will add your biological and technological distinctiveness to our own.
Exactly. Well, this is the thing. We are all contributing to the algorithm of recommendations here on Twitch, and that's why I think they realized recently, and we have to give the new CEO of Twitch a little bit of credit. He has allowed dual streaming to YouTube, which I'm doing now, or Kick, which I am gonna probably do. I'm gonna switch YouTube and Kick on and off, and he realized that the discoverability is super critical to streaming, and so once you're on the Twitch platform, they want you to keep you here, but we can't draw new people in unless we can branch out. So this is the thing. They're letting you branch out to get more people in, but then they set up a few little rules that always makes the Twitch stream a little bit better. And so the plan is to get people from the YouTube or the Kick to come here. And so it's very, very smart, because they set rules up where if you stream on Twitch and you dual stream to some other service, that service can't be a first class citizen. It can be close, but not exactly. So it's this is the thing. Androgyny, well, I don't know what that is. Unreal Brian feeling kind of iffy today. All right, that's fine. I do like it when every so often I'm able to yank someone out of their lurk. Like, it happens once in a while. They'll be like, you know, I usually lurk. Like, I don't even look who's here. So it's like, I know people lurk, but like when I yank someone out, I'm like, yes, I actually, like, you know, that's the whole point. It's like, you get engagement. But I hope you feel better, Unreal Brian. And, you know, it's happened to all of us. I said something stupid in a stream the other night, and I was like, God, that was stupid. It wasn't that stupid. It's not a big deal. No one cares. But, like, appreciate the lurkers. If you want to participate to any, like, the level you want. Sort of the thing. So, yeah. Like I said, I don't call people out lurk. I don't look at the lurk stream things. And I appreciate if everyone else does not do that also. Well, you can look. Just don't call them out. Because not the stuff that happens on stream, it's like, you know, like I said, COVID vax yesterday and you're kind of half asleep. Yeah, I don't do well on any vaccines. I've had some that just go by like easily. I've had my arm dead for an entire week. Like, I couldn't, like, it wasn't, this was when I was a kid, but I couldn't lift my arm past here. Like, it just was like, that was it. Like, I could go here, I couldn't go up. And so it's like, and my parents didn't believe me. I remember I was telling my mom this. She was like, no, that didn't happen. I'm like, it very real happened. Like, I couldn't do it. And it was funny because for the first time in her life, a vaccine hurt her. And she was like freaking out. She was like, oh, wait. She thought like something, she had fucked up her arm. And then she was like, oh, wait, I got the vaccine yesterday, you know, just a flu vaccine. And she was like, is this what it's like? Like, is this what people have been complaining about? I'm like, yes. Yeah. Frank, what's up? You get the dead arm and also headaches and general aches. Aloha. Yeah, aloha, Frank. Yeah, I don't normally get dead arm. I have gotten dead arm. I once asked a nurse giving the stuff. She was like, yeah, that happens, but it's rare. The dead arm isn't too normal, but it happens. And it's like, yeah, and the normal aches is like, that happens to a lot of people. It's fine. I'd rather, like, if anyone gets the flu, the flu is terrible. The flu kills millions of people. The flu is so bad. It's so much better. Like, I'll take feeling crappy for a few hours one day over the flu. The flu is like unbelievably bad. It's like it's like when you're young and healthy, you don't realize how bad the flu is. You get the flu once, you're like, I don't want to ever do that again. Yeah. That's what I did. When you can't lift, I got you, Frank. Yeah. Whatever. I understood. Like, when this was the thing, I couldn't lift my arm past here, and that's what you're saying. So I was like, yeah, it's kind of like dead. It also felt kind of dead too. But yeah, like, you don't want the flu, and you definitely don't want COVID. There's, you know, it's interesting. Like, nowadays when there's less people getting like COVID, but I'm hearing now when I hear stuff, it's like, oh, they got long COVID and they're fucked up. It's like, this is the stories I'm hearing now. Like, people are just like really fucked up from the long COVID, and it's bad. It's like kind of sad. Unreal says at Michigan State in the 90s, someone died of meningitis, so they got us all into the Breslin Center to get vaccinated. I had a reaction to it, had the worst fever-like chills of my life for 24 hours straight. Nobody knows what reaction I had. Yeah, this is one of the other things about medicine. It's statistical. They do things to protect as many people as they can, and nothing and no one is exactly the same, and so they're probably going to work for you. You're probably going to be fine, but like sometimes there's reactions that they didn't expect, and then what happens is they react to that. It's like you're alive now, like they can, like you feel sick, you go to the hospital, they make sure you don't die, and then you're okay. But it's like it's not like 100%. It's not like when you're a kid and like it's like, oh yeah, take some Advil and call me in the morning if anything goes wrong. It's like once you get out of like that phase in your life, things are a lot less certain. It's like, oh, you don't know. They don't know. They try stuff, and like mostly they know how to keep you alive until your body gets a little bit better. So it's like, yeah, I've had some medical stuff in my life. You start to learn that the doctors are trying their best, but they don't know everything. They just try the best that the medical profession has at the moment, at that time, and that's what they give you. That is the best of their abilities. It's like, okay, is it always going to work? No. Is things that they don't understand going to happen? Yes. But like, that's normal. That's the state of the world. If you think they knew everything to begin with, then you were a kid and you didn't know any better. There need to be 3 times as many doctors. Frank, there needs to be a lot of money for like a lot of things that are you know, we need a lot of money going to a lot of places that's not where the money's going. We need the doctors. We need the philosophers to, like, you know, make sense of shit. We need, you know, people doing research on, like, water, because, like, we need, like, a lot more water, like clean drinking water, like things like this. It's like, is all the money going to those places? No. Money is going to blowing people up. And that's been that way for a while now. So... yeah, so like the meme, this is where my, this is why we don't have health care meme. I think about this all the time. Where's the, images? Oh, come on. We don't have that? So it's like, maybe I have to search Google. It's a little bit better than this Brave search. But basically, this is why we don't have health insurance. Meme. Oh, come on. Everything's too serious nowadays. No, it's like us showing pictures of the U.S. military. It's like, is this it? Nope. Oh, come on. Okay, so it's a meme where basically it's like, you know, all the U.S. military stuff, like all mustered, like going out. And it's like, now you get to find out why we don't have healthcare because we're blowing people up again. It's like, yeah. But like, I need to get that one saved. It's like, why is the money going there? And why, yeah, it's like Globus was here. I was thinking about like this. Why is all the money going into AI at the moment? Because the AI people are making a lot of money and they have all the money and power and to begin with, and they're just consolidating their, the tech giants are just consolidating their position. And I think basically they're arguing in bad faith that they need government regulation because they want to push their responsibility off of themselves and onto the public, because if there was regulation, then they could say we were following the rules. But if there's no regulation, we can still blame them for all the shit they're doing. So they're scared and they're trying to make cover by saying, oh no, the government didn't regulate, the government, or they did regulate and we didn't, and we followed it, but there were bad rules. So I'm just sort of like cynical about this. They're just trying to cover their ass at this point, and they're not doing what they need to do, and it's gonna get messy. But not because I think the singularity is coming, because I think the AI is going to disrupt so many industries. Like, we've been talking about this for years, but like, of course, AI trucking is going to decimate the amount of truckers we need, and so that's a good job in the United States, and all of a sudden those jobs aren't going to be there anymore, and same with a lot of stuff. So fun times. But all right, so I think no Tindarios today, so we'll go find a new journal article to read. What do we got from Unreal? I wish I had smoother skin. I wish I had stronger core. I wish people liked me. It's hard for me to open up. So these are different G's. I wish I had healthcare. American singles. Yes, that's this is accurate. This is accurate. Yeah, like cries in Merkin. Exactly. Hispanic Latino issues in philosophy. Oh, cool. I have not seen this journal. Let's go take a look at this journal. And they don't have anything. I wonder if it's brand... No, it's not. Volume 23, issue 1. I wonder why they don't have a page here. That's kind of cool. Like, annoying. Mary Lugonis and the value of playfulness for world making. Paging Aristotle. Paging Aristotle. Do you know this? Is this you? Did you set this up? God fucking damn it. Okay, oh, this is an APA studies on. Jesus fucking Christ. Well, we're reading this because, like, this is basically in Aris's area. Oh, man. That's funny. Yeah, it's double columned, which kind of annoys me because that makes it twice as long. But I guess, but it's not terrible. Okay. Yeah. All right, we'll read this because it's you lose a few pages on this. Yeah. Okay. It's not too bad. It's like 10 pages and, well, double columned annoys me, but what are you gonna do? What am I doing? So forgive me for a second. Let me get the Doing a little bit of bookkeeping here. That's that. How's that look? That looks not bad. This is this here. Here's the link. If anyone's interested, you can always type !paper in chat. If you're on YouTube, just let me just ask for a link. I'll throw it back over to you. If you're interested in such things. Yeah, here we go. This is good. I'm pretty pleased with that. Okay, so anyone who is new here, I'm Noah. Noger, no gray. I don't care. Just don't be a dick about it. I read philosophy. We comment, and then afterwards we have a ranking system, and you get to participate. If you're here and you want to give a ranking to this paper, you are free to do so. So please feel free to stick around and do that. But we're going to read this paper on, what is this? We're going to read this, Maria Lugones and the Value of Playfulness for World Making by Ricardo Frias in Hispanic Latino Issues in Philosophy. This looks like it's out of the APA study, so I'm not sure exactly what this is, but it looks like a, maybe it's like a special issue of APA studies. I don't know, but we'll give it a look. So, stop music a little bit. Yeah, and so feel free to comment during the talk. All right. So, here we go. Maria Lugones' essay, Playfulness, World Traveling, and Loving Perception, has an immense influence in feminist philosophy, and particularly in the field that Mariana Ortega has called Latina feminist phenomenology. The essay, which was published originally as a journal article in 1987 before being republished with minimal changes in Lugones' book, Pilgrimages, Peregrinajes, is self-avowedly about the possibility and complexity of a pluralistic feminism that affirms plurality as rich and central to feminist ontology and epistemology. Lugones argues for the necessity of the practice of world traveling that is essential for building a deep mutual understanding of one another, that is a condition for building meaningful coalitions and community. Although much attention has been given to the concept of world traveling, significantly less attention has been given to Lugones' discussion of playfulness, which she says is essentially for world traveling. Of those who have responded to Lugones' discussion of playfulness, Ortega's critical reading of playfulness is especially astute, and she ultimately argues for a concept of critical world traveling instead of playful world traveling. Interesting. So we can't just go, you're not just going on vacation for fun, you are going on vacation for a little bit of critical reflection, I guess. In this essay, I argue that while the attribute of playfulness may not be essential for world traveling, it is necessary for world making, which I provisionally define here as the creation of communal social realities facilitated by world traveling. This essay has 3 sections: a reconstruction of Lugones' discussion of playfulness and related key concepts, a discussion of Ortega's critique of the attribute of playfulness and its necessity for world traveling, and an argument for the importance of playfulness in world making. All right, so we got a few things here. We've got some, terms. I don't know what world making is. This is one of these annoying terms that people were like, in analytic philosophy, like world building, world creating. This was happening a lot, not too long ago, and thankfully people, I think, recognized how cringy it was and moved away from it. But this is like a throwback article about something in 1987, so when it was so cool, you could talk about world making and world building, and not be cringy about it. So, world traveling. The focus of Lugones' essay is on theorizing a way of identifying with others by way of understanding what it is to be them and what it is to be ourselves in their eyes. And that this is apparently necessary for becoming fully subjects of each other. Lugones argues that this can be accomplished by traveling to someone else's world, and notes that we cannot know others without also knowing their worlds, such that we remain in a condition of solipsism or lack of intersubjectivity without this travel. So there we go. It's a throwback to Ivan's stream where we were discussing solipsism and hands. So yeah. So I guess the argument here is that Solipsism in this case is a very small world that you live in, and everyone like you is in that maybe a similarly small world. So if you never get out of your hometown, you are in a sort of a solipsistic bubble, maybe with a few other people, but that's what's cringy about it? World building is the foundation of all fictional narratives, isn't it? Ivan the Secret Latina phenomenologist. Yes. It was cringy when the philosophers were doing it. Well, if you're talking about fictional narratives, that's just by definition, I think. Latinx, yeah. He could also be Latina. I don't judge. That's fine. Yeah, when the philosophers were doing it, they were making it sound like they were building your reality for real, not a narrative, but like actually, I'm going to like build your reality, like I'm going to build a game world in your head, like, and it's going to be real. And it was like, no, dude, this is not actually like, that's not what like philosophy does. Like, people understand their world. As a philosopher, you're not like building someone's entire world like in your philosophy. This isn't the Plato's cave where you can like make a world and like lead them into it. It's like kind of, but not really. It was a little bit of it was more cringy like that. Sounds like something Ivan would say. Yes, absolutely. Okay. Yeah, so this is saying, look, you have to get out of your hometown. You have to get out and like experience other ways of viewing the world. And they're saying clearly here that you going to see other people and them, and then they seeing you and you recognizing that they see you differently and how they see you differently is part of how you get out of like your own little world, that you can be seen as something other than the way you see yourself. Okay. While these citations show Lugonis's emphasis on the epistemic and the intersubjective at stake in traveling to another's world or world traveling, Lugonis also emphasizes that knowing other women's worlds is part of loving them, such that world traveling matters for our affective relations with others. World traveling not only brings us to intimacy and full understanding, for it can also reveal violent worlds, as well as worlds in which we come to see the ways in which we function as oppressors or arrogant perceivers. The conclusion of the essay emphasizes that world traveling involves risking the very ground we stand on. Yeah, because if you start to realize you're an asshole, which has happened to me many times, then you're like, oh shit, I was an asshole. I have to stop being like that. And you kind of feel bad, and then you grow up and you move on. It happens. Like, I expect a lot of people have been like, that I don't want to be like the way I was when I was younger. That was stupid. That's like, you get that through experience, and you don't have to always necessarily use something stupid. You can see that other people do things differently and be like, I want to be more like them, not like how I was. Okay. Throughout the essay, Lugonis returns to the matter of understanding one another and building what she terms a coalition of deep understanding fashioned through world traveling. The outcome of a coalition of understanding is a feminism that would affirm the plurality in each of us as central to feminist ontology and epistemology. Prior to invoking the language of worlds, Lugonis refers to the particular experience of an outsider to the mainstream white Anglo organization of life that she terms a construction of life, where one is themselves constructed. A condition of living in multiple constructions is flexibility for shifting across constructions, but Lugonis argues that this condition can also be used resistantly. The resistant version of shifting across various constructions of life, where one is constructed across the spectrum spanning being an outsider to being at home, is what Lugonis calls world traveling. Yeah, so like when you're a tourist, you are in like tourist mode. And so you are like in a, like sort of, you're kind of in a box. You're like touristy. So you're not actually participating in the place. You're participating in the place as a tourist, in like in the tourist mode. They're not treating you like one of their own. And so there's the thing, when you get out of the tourist mode, then you are traveling to their world, but like you're just dipping your toe in when you are a tourist. I mean, that's the whole point. Like, it's not bad to be a tourist. World traveling can be done willingly or unwillingly, and is typically done unwillingly to hostile worlds. It is the unwilling version of world traveling most will be familiar with, and this unwilling version has obscured its value. Unwilling world traveling is not limited to any one group, such that anyone may find themselves traveling to other worlds at some point, although certainly not everyone undergoes it to the same degree. Unwilling world traveling takes us against our wishes to hostile worlds where we are constructed in ways that are painful. Unwilling world traveling is painful because we are taken to worlds hostile to our presence, and this hostility is painful to the degree we are subjected to what Marilyn Fry, in an essay called In and Out of Harm's Way, Arrogance and Love, calls arrogant perception. Okay. Arrogant and loving perception. In Arrogance and Love, Fry is concerned with developing a revolutionary vision of women that goes beyond the woman as an abstract concept of a victimized female human animal. Fry analyzes exploitation and oppression that is focused on the capturing of meaning and meaning making. In this context, Fry arrives at the concept of the arrogant I, which organizes the objects of its perception as existing for its sake. Against the arrogant I, Fry introduces the loving I, which perceives without presupposing that the other poses either a constant threat or exists for its own use. The loving perceiver maintains the difference between itself and those they perceive. Yeah, so I mean, there's like these gazes. How are you looking at the world? Is it all for me, or is it, trying to see it for itself? And you can do this to different degrees, like on command and then also like unconsciously, I guess. Like, yeah, I guess mostly you just the way you are. And so then you you can either be arrogant or loving according to this distinction. But you can do it you can try to do it in different ways, I guess, too. Okay. Towards the end of her essay, Fry emphasizes the difficulty of separating from the arrogant I insofar as it gives all the things meaning by connecting all things to each other by way of their reference to one point, man. Nothing less than liberation depends on the imagination that results from the loving I, which is able to perceive others in their independence. Yeah, see, this is the thing. You can, you don't have to tie this to, the feminist thing, where you're talking about, man, there's arrogant assholes, and they don't all have to be guys. But yeah, I think the point still stands. Lugonis's engagement with Fry is concerned to the extent and develop her idea of a revolutionary vision or imagination that goes beyond either abstract knowledge or a repetition of arrogant perception that fails to dissolve the structures and dismantle the mechanisms by which woman is mediated by man. It is with Fry's analysis in mind that Lugonis conceptualizes world traveling. Okay, world as social relations. And this goes back, I think, what were we saying, where we read a paper a few weeks back in that literary magazine, The Raven, where they were taking world as fundamental, like the social world as fundamental. And that's sort of an interesting take. Again, this is in that same sort of vein. So, yee. So, world as social relations. In describing what she means by world traveling, Lugonis explains how she understands the concept of a world by way of describing a particular experience that she had, which she calls ontological confusion. What the fuck? Really? Ontological confusion? Alright. In her narrative, Lugonis recounts that the particular and profound state of confusion she found herself in had to do with an antinomic experience of seemingly both having and not having the attribute of playfulness. What's up, Maddie? The fuck? I think we all know what the confusion is. Well, we'll find out. Yeah, okay. Having and not having the attribute of playfulness. How you doing, Maddie? Yeah, welcome in. So, this is interesting. The experience of seemingly both having and not having the attribute of playfulness. Lugonis talks to both faraway friends who knew her well, and she asks people around her, perhaps coworkers, as to whether she is playful. Her friends tell her with conviction that she is playful, and the others say that she is serious. She takes everything seriously. As she works through this antinomy, Lugonis lands on the concept of worlds to begin accounting for why she does and does not have the attribute of playfulness. The stake in what accounts for the antinomy, I keep saying this, antinomy of the attribute is whether or not something that Lugonis could simply work on herself as an individual subject. Am I like playful tee? Yeah, yeah. But I think there's a point here. Like, some people take the way what you say is taken can be taken in multiple ways. So it's like, when you say something, do people understand it as dead serious? Do they take it as a joke? It also depends on power structures. Like, if I'm a boss and I say something, the people underneath me might take it as an order. If I say something like that to my boss, it's taken as a suggestion, even if I say it the same flat way. So it's again, it depends on what else is going on, and that's why they were talking about why the social world here is fundamental, I think, for this. But yeah, it's like, am I playful? Teehee? Maybe. Do I get to do a little hand flip? We get better at that. I don't think I'm good at it. Anyway, so okay. So, quote, you see, if it was just a matter of lack of ease in certain worlds, I could work on it, end quote. And it is in understanding this relation between the interior of the self and the exterior relations that Lugonis turns to the concept of world. In the introduction of Pilgrimages Peregrinajes, Lugonis elaborates beyond the world-traveling essay's discussion of world by comparing it to Arthur Danto's use in The Wake of Art. In his essay, Danto distinguishes between expressions and manifestations in order to analyze the way in which symbols are interpreted according to their social context. The essay thematizes world only in order to discuss symbols, and Lugonis cites Danto because he comes close to her own understanding while remaining distinct from it. Lugonis and Danto differ on the distinction between actual and possible worlds. For Danto, there is an actual world with many possible worlds, and for Lugonis, all worlds are actual and overlap. Okay, so this is actually, from the formal side, this is very interesting, because in formal descriptions of like possible worlds, they're all sort of independent. They don't overlap. There's accessibility relations between worlds. You can go from one world to another. So like there's a world where I can go pick up my water and drink it. I may not do that, but I have access to that world where I go over and drink it. And then the fact that like, so you've got an actual world where I don't drink the water because I didn't, and then the possible world where I did drink the water. Now for Lugonis, all worlds are actual and overlap. That would be an interesting, like I know people who work on sort of like these weird, like where things happen and they don't happen. So it's interesting stuff. Okay. Danto invokes the world in order to distinguish between expressions and manifestations as a way to think about symbols in regard to art. In the process of arriving at this distinction, Danto draws another distinction between interpretation and explanation, such that manifestations can be understood by explanations, while expressions are to be interpreted in light of the fact that explanations of a phenomenon as a manifestation have failed. Yeah, so you can explain something but like fail to explain what's going on. That's true. You can have failed explanations. So you have the manifestation of something is yeah. So you can explain a phenomena, but like as something that has a failed manifestation. You can explain something that happened as something that was trying to happen, but it didn't quite work out. Okay. Danto thinks of manifestations as the way in which the actual world offers something to be understood. Using the example of a disordered room, oh really, a disordered room? Danto discusses the ways in which a disordered room can be understood as manifestations of our world. A room poorly maintained, or else a room lived in by someone who considers such a state of the room to be quite orderly by their own social standards. In contrast, expressions are symbols that refer to a possible world or a way in which the world could be arranged but is not currently. Danto locates expressions on the side of the individual. I think I swallowed a bug. Maybe. And conversely locates manifestations on the side of the social. Expressions are conscious manifestations of an internal state, as Danto puts it, and they depict the way the world could be. The particular concept that Danto is interested in is the symbolic as distinct from the sign. Cinesemiotics, are you listening? And this distinction corresponds to the one he makes between expression and manifestation. Where the manifestation is a sign which gestures to its cause as a footprint, stands in for a footstep, the symbol is a material embodiment of an idea. The symbol is a symbol of a particular world, but in contrast to Lugonis' assessment, Danto's language threatens to collapse the distinction between actual and possible worlds he elsewhere attempts to maintain. Yeah, so if you have like a footprint in the sand, it means someone stepped in it. And so that's the thing. But then again, if you are going to just say that the footprint is there, it is the object itself. It is a footprint. So I guess that's like you're collapsing the sign that there was a foot there with the fact that there is a footprint. Okay. Immediately after Danto writes that the symbol represents a world by embodying that other world as if it were here and now, he writes that the symbol brings into this world another world through something which, saying, embodies it. Yeah, so all of a sudden, if you say the symbol's there and you say there's a foot there that the footprint symbolizes, it also embodies the foot then. So it's also there. Yeah. Danto's insistence that the symbol brings one world into another makes sense given that his focus is on the artwork and his essay's focus on photography in its second half is based on the distinction between the sign and the symbol with regard to the distinction between reality and its images. Lugones is emphatic that she is concerned with actual world and rejects any hypothetical logic involving the as if. Yeah, I know this was a nasty paragraph, but basically it was saying, look, if you have a work of art, so let's go look at something real briefly. What do we have? We have the some little work of art here from Cinesemiotics that was made on prior stuff on the stream. So this is a corkscrew taking something out of a bottle. What is this? Now, for all those who remember this stuff, it was because I have a patent. And this is a part of the image in my patent. And so this is a sort of, the art is a sort of a representation of my patent, but, you know, with a little bit of screwy. So for those who remember, this will call back to the patent and bring the object that this is sort of symbolizing into that world. And so this is supposed to go cross-world. It's supposed to, you know, the art is meant to bring through its symbolism, to bring the other world into it, the world in which the patent is actual. So this is what I think is going on in this paper right here. But like, yeah. Now what Lugones is saying is the symbol is not bringing it as if it was here. She's just saying it is here. This is how the world is. Everything is symbolic. She is not pushing this is the actual world and there's other ways it could be. She's saying, no. The world is relative to these perspectives, and we are just like interacting with them. There is no as if. There is only the actual perspective that someone had when they were making this, or as it is represented by the art. It's not as if. It is that way. So I hope that helped. Let me know if you have any more questions, I guess. I don't know if I can say it any better, but I can try. Okay. Lugones takes the social to be intersubjectively constructed through a play of forces such that no world is inherently stable or at rest, and it may be that the instability of a particular world motivates her reticence to define it conclusively. Yeah, so if like you're only talking about your point of view and my point of view, where's the stable world? Where? Like, there is no guarantee that there is a, like, hard external world. I mean, there's the world of physics, but we don't interpret the world of physics. We do not see the physical atoms. And so even if you're assuming there is something out there, it's not what we are experiencing on the day-to-day basis. Like, you're not looking at atoms. You're like, even if you say qualia, that's not like the physics of it. So it's like, that's not our experience. And so this is why they mentioned phenomenology before. This is why it's like, if you're talking from the social point of view, what is the phenomenon that you're talking about? Well, you're saying everything is sort of like this embedded social perspective. It's not a like a physicalist single world perspective. Okay, so in lieu of a definition, Lugones establishes a necessary condition for something to be a world and a list of sufficient conditions. For something to be a world, it has to be inhabited at present by some flesh and blood people, although it may also be inhabited by imaginary dead or other kinds of people beyond those of flesh and blood. Yeah, you need an agent, basically. That's what you need, of some sort. Like, so you could have a ghost. A world can be an actual society, but also a resistant construction of society, a construction of a tiny portion of a particular society. It may be incomplete, they can be layered over one another, and its inhabitants may not recognize or understand the ways they are constructed in any given world. In all cases, the sense of a world is fundamentally a description of an experience. Okay. A world is fundamentally a description of an experience. So the things you are experiencing right now, this is your little world. This is discussing scenarios or little worlds, basically. So at the moment, you are like on Twitch, probably lurking or watching the stream, along with other things you are doing. And so this is your world, but it's like a small world, and it's your current perspective of what your world is now. So it's not a global thing. It's a sort of a temporalized or like current to your local embodiment world. Okay. So I think this actually makes you. I heard you like ghost philosophies. Yeah, I like. I like some of this fun stuff. Like, you want to get. I like weird arguments. I've said this before, but I like interesting arguments. I like weird arguments. I want to get out of the, the boring stuff that like, oh, let's stick to like the hard truth. It's like, you don't know what the hard truth is, and you're jerking yourself off if you think you do most of the time. So it's like, I want to hear like this thing where it's like, okay, we're going to go with social reality, and what's that mean when you take it away from like objective, like real world, and put it into all the people, and not just all the people, but their embodied experiences. And you could have that for ghosts. A ghost could have an embodied experience in their little ghost form and, experience the world at that point. So, like, this is the Day of the Dead in Mexico, and in, I don't know if other places celebrate it, but, like, this is the thing. It's like, you embody, like, the Day of the Dead. Like, you've got, like, other, like, ghosts and whatnot going on. It's like, yes. So it can be inhabited by some flesh and blood people, but also these other things that could be, some flesh and blood people, although it could be imaginary dead or other kinds of things, other kinds of agents, beyond those flesh and blood. So other kinds of people, I'd just say agents beyond flesh and blood. So as long as you're an agent, you can move beyond that. So I like this thing. The ghost philosophy sounds good. That sounds like a lot of fun. Okay, so playfulness and world traveling. I suspect some people in this crowd do not like this. They don't want to hear about there's no real world. But that's okay. You're wrong. And I don't want to hear, oh, that's just your perspective. No, you're wrong. Okay, playfulness and world traveling. Playfulness is the motivating attribute that leads Lugonis to reflect on worlds according to her story, and it turns out to be the case that playfulness plays a significant role in world traveling. While she notes that one can be maximally at ease in a world such as to refuse to travel to other worlds, one can also be maximally confined to a single world. To be stuck in one world scares Lugonis. I am seriously scared of getting stuck in a world that constructs me that way, a world that I have no escape from and in which I cannot be playful. Before embarking on her own analysis of the concept, Lugonis comments that she prepared by reading two classics on the subject of play. Johann Huizinga's Homo Ludens and Hans-Georg Gadamer's chapter on play in truth and method. Lugonis subsequently gives a short critique of Huizinga and Gadamer, noting that though she will not provide an extended argument for her interpretation of Gadamer and Huizinga, she finds that both of them have an agonistic sense of play. To introduce her own conception of loving playfulness, Lugonis gives an example of the kind of playing she has in mind. Lugonis describes a particular experience that takes place on a riverbank. The river is low and wet stones appear above the water line. Two friends walk on the stones for a while, picking up and shattering stones open on each other to reveal beautiful colors inside. Yeah, so they're smashing rocks. Amidst laughter and smiles, the friends break stones open for hours, sharing what they find inside with each other. Lugonis notes that there is no purposive activity or set of rules guiding the activity, and instead it is the attitude that carries us through the activity, a playful attitude that turns the activity into play. Okay? I mean, I don't love these sorts of definitions. Like, a playful attitude makes play. It's like, well, okay, that you're just sticking play and attitude together. I still don't know what play means, and making it an attitude doesn't help me any. But all right, let's see what the author says. Based on her example, I find that loving playfulness has three relevant aspects in addition to having the aspect of loving perception inherited from Fry. It is risky, creative, and destructive. I mean, based on one example where they're breaking rocks, it's risky, creative, and destructive. Okay, fine. I mean, creativity often has destructive aspects to it, but like this seems a little bit this just seems a little fast from this author here. I mean, they may be right, but like going risky, creative, and destructive from a single time when people are smashing open rocks, it's like, okay, sure. Alright, it is destructive because in being open to multiple worlds, it risks one's own ground and can erode those worlds which are grounded upon being the only world. Okay, yeah, so risky because you might have to change. Play is corrosive of rules insofar as it elevates itself above any rule set in order to derive rules from play. Okay, so play is what defines the rules then. That's at least something new. We can work with that. Derive rules from play. Play is creative because in its destructive capacity, it allows for the derivation of new rules from out of playfulness, and for Lugonis, there's meaningful potential for more inclusive rules to arise from out of loving playfulness insofar as it is rooted in caring communal experience. Play is risky for its destructive and creative capacities insofar as it can destroy things that matter to a community, and just as it can create meaningful communities, it can also create new forms of oppression. Okay. Maybe, but it's like, all right, anytime you're changing, there is inherent risk, and that's fine. Okay. Ortega's critique of playfulness. Lugonis' essay has generated many responses since its original publication, and the majority of these responses have focused on the world-traveling aspect of the essay. There has been relatively less response to the essay's discussion on playfulness, and of those responses, a particularly rigorous one is Ortega's commentary on playfulness and world-traveling in between Latina feminist philosophy, multiplicity, and the self. In her chapter, World Traveling, Double Consciousness, and Resistance, Ortega writes the following, quote, I wonder, however, whether the experience of world traveling capable of opening possibilities needs to involve playfulness, as Lugonis suggests. The value of playfulness in our account stems from the fact that it allows us not to take ourselves so seriously that we cannot construct and reconstruct ourselves, others, and societal norms. End quote. Further down she asks, quote, is playfulness the only attitude that could yield an opening for possibilities of construction and reconstruction in this case? End quote. She concludes, quote, I am deeply aware of the importance of play for Lugonis and other feminists, and I don't want to minimize this notion here, but I do not consider play as central as it is in Lugonis' view. For her, play, it is at the crux of liberation. End quote. This last point is quoted from Lugonis, who writes that playfulness is, quote, at the crux of liberation, both as a process and as something to achieve. I think there is something important in the relation between playfulness and tenderness, end quote. In the preceding chapter, the chapter called The Phenomenology of World Traveling, Ortega writes that for Lugonis, playfulness is an attribute that is character central, and that Lugonis defines character central as an attribute that is central to one's personality to the degree that the world must support or be a good fit for the attribute for that person to be at ease. In discussing the concept of character central attributes, I think it is important to note that Lugonis is writing in second person, leaving it somewhat ambiguous whether she is talking about herself or a hypothetical, playful person. Yeah, so it's like you're saying you can go hang out anywhere. I mean, are you at ease anywhere? So is that a hypothetical, playful person, or is it like me? I can go hang out anywhere. I mean, I can hang out around here. I don't know if I can hang out in other parts of the world. Might not be so comfortable. This point is relevant for discussing Lugonis' theory of self, which it must be noted is closely linked to world traveling, but for now I leave it aside. I only note that what is at stake in the concept of character central attributes is whether playfulness is at the crux of liberation for Lugonis because of who she is, or because playfulness is essential as such. I mean, this is an interesting point. Like, you have millions, well, at least tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of streams you could be in. Anyone here, like, oh, we're on YouTube, we're on Twitch, we're sometimes on Kick. And where do you like to hang out? Where do you feel comfortable hanging out? You can go all sorts of places. And like, each little stream is like a little world you can hang out in. And so there is something to that. Like, some people like to lurk in certain streams, they like to talk in other streams. Like, so what exactly puts you at ease to talk certain places, not other places? And so there is something to this. If you think of like a stream as like coming into my little like apartment here, like this room where you've got like a living room and like you're in someone else's house, how do you act in someone else's house? You're in their little world. And that's kind of what like streaming can be for a lot of streamers. So, is a question. So like, and then, like, how are you relaxing in that area? Like, can you have fun in that stream and, like, engage with the streamer? What is fun for you about this? So, how do you play there, I guess, is the way they're saying it here. Okay. Ortega makes clear that it is not playfulness itself that playfulness itself is to be rejected, but whether world traveling essentially needs to involve playfulness, particularly in the case of opening possibilities of resistance. While she recognizes the importance of playfulness in allowing for creative space, she goes on to argue that the critical elements of Lugonis's account of world traveling do not need to be essentially playful, and Ortega instead proposes a critical world traveling instead of a playful world traveling. Critical world traveling refers to the critical attitude that can change, revise, and reinterpret worlds, as well as one's self-reflection on world traveling. Critical world traveling helps ensure that world traveling does not become an everyday practice dominated by publicness, and although critical world traveling offers no guarantees of resistance to oppression, it ultimately creates more openings for such a stance. Alright, I have no idea what this critical world traveling is, but you don't have to have as much fun. I guess you gotta be more critical. A danger that Ortega wishes to avoid is world traveling becoming a sort of play itself, a sort of game in which one learns some interesting things about the other, but that ultimately has no real consequences for the practitioner. Although similar lines, playfulness conveys the idea that there is not much at stake, which ties back Lugonis' distinction between frivolity and playfulness. If what is truly important is taken lightly, we cross into the realm of grotesque irresponsibility in a time which, as Rita Segato puts it, the historical conditions that transform us into monsters or accomplices of monsters stalk us all. I think Ortega recognizes the stakes as well, as she is right to emphasize the importance of critical world traveling. I have reconstructed Ortega's reading of playfulness, and I will now move on to my final discussion where I reflect on what possibilities playfulness may still offer with regard to world making. I don't know if people in chat have seen The Last King of Scotland, about the dictator Idi Amin and this guy that goes down from England somewhere, Great Britain, to be a doctor down there. He's a white guy out of college. He's going to go back down to some poor part of the world, help out, go be a doctor. And he's going down there, he's having way too much fun. And he hangs out with Idi Amin, who's this crazed dictator really. And, in having fun, he basically helps out Idi Amin and to do terrible things. And it's he became complicit in the oppression of the people that he initially went down there to help, because he was having a little bit of fun, doing a little bit of stuff, playing around with the people and the way they saw him, how he dealt with them, and it just didn't go well. But I was that's maybe an example of this. But it's interesting. It's you can go places and not know what the hell's going on too. I've gone to streams and just be I don't know what the hell's going on. I remember going into Bible Boys stream. We raided in there after hours did. I'm I don't understand this at all. Not my world. I was just I tried to figure it out. I kind of understood what was going on. I was just but I don't it was just I'm leaving now. It freaked me out. I'm gone. Pastor Dave is just too crazy. And not this back in the day. It's just the whole stream was crazy. I don't mean Pastor Dave. It was just the whole thing was nuts. But anyway, playfulness and world making. Lugonis writes that she sees playfulness as the crux of liberation, but her remarks explain why that are short. Yeah, I mean, this idea that you're making new rules out of where? Where you just you're being playful and you get to make new rules. And they could change the world. That's a nice thought, but it's kind of thin, When she mentions playfulness as the crux of liberation, she links it to a relation between playfulness and tenderness, and she attempts to develop this connection by arguing for a playfulness that is tied to risk, specifically the risking of oneself in and for a community. I read Lugonis as proposing a kind of productive risk where exposure to others can be generative of more meaningful relations to one another that is entailed by world traveling. Lugonis stops short of discussing what it would mean to co-inhabit worlds, for the world traveler must always return to their world if they are by definition traveling and not settling or migrating. I think that there is a need for communal world making that accompanies world traveling without being reducible to it. Okay, so you go visit with somebody, you share, you have to deal with them, they have to deal with you, and for that period of time, you've got some sort of communal world. Okay, so you've got a little communal experience at that point. Maybe. Okay, maybe. Lugonis' analysis emphasizes adjectival modifiers on her concepts. What? We just went to philosophy of language here? What are we doing? Adjectival modifiers on her concepts. Okay, Okay. I have in mind her account of the Western man's account of play, in which competence and established roles are central in what she calls the agonistic sense of playfulness. Further, in her essay, she calls this the agonistic attitude and qualifies it as the playful attitude given Western man's construction of playfulness. I take Lugonis to mean that the Western construction is a flawed account of playfulness, and it would be better to call it agon or competition in distinction to her own account of loving playfulness, which perhaps Lugonis means to be playfulness as such. Yeah, so I guess if you're doing like competitive games, that would be agonizing or agonistic. Lugonis' critique of Huizinga offers further insight into the value she places on playfulness and its kinds. Huizinga, a Dutch historian, interprets Western civilization as founded on or derived from play, and this is clear in the title of his lecture that became his book, Homo Ludens. Lugonis writes that it is an interesting thing for the third world people to think about that Western civilization has been interpreted by a white Western man as play in the agonistic sense. The agonistic sense, yes. The agonistic attitude, Lugonis notes, is not a healthy, loving attitude to have in traveling across worlds, but it is certainly able to kill other worlds with it. Yeah, I mean, imperialism, colonialism, hooray! Lugonis' analysis is brief but faithful. Huizinga's text straightforwardly asserts that civilization is drawn from play, and for him, civilization is synonymous with the Western. His text contains consistent references to primitive man, treating the non-Western as remnants of humanity's childhood, in contrast to mature Western civilization, in a gesture that Johannes Fabian calls a denial of coevalness. Coevalness, by which he means a persistent and systematic tendency to place the reference of anthropology in a time other than the present of the producer of anthropological discourse. Lugonis' reading of Huizinga stops short of theorizing what it would mean to base a world off of loving playfulness. If Western civilization, in whatever reductive manner, is derived of agon and agonistic world traveling, what would it mean to imagine worlds derived otherwise? Okay, so it's like if we were not colonialist assholes in the West, how else might we have engaged with people? Lugonis' essay is part of her book's larger concern with building and theorizing coalition, as the subtitle of Pilgrimages Peregrinajes indicates. Lugonis' concern with coalition is apparent across her body of work and is present as early as her 1978 dissertation, Morality and Personal Relations. In her dissertation, Lugonis is ultimately concerned with thinking about our personal and interpersonal relations, how we love each other across friendships and relationships of all kinds, amidst multiple oppressions. In her world-traveling essay, world traveling is itself invoked as the way by which a coalition of deep understanding is fashioned among women of color specifically. Lugonis is clear that world traveling is meant to be creative as well as a form of loving. I gather that her emphasis on playfulness as risk is meant to elaborate her point that working and playing together involves an exposure to one another that risks our very tenderness. If it is the case that playfulness is not essential for world traveling, I think that it is essential for world making, and specifically a world we derive from loving playfulness with one another that departs from worlds founded on agonistic playfulness. Okay, so basically, if you are going to build worlds with other people, you are accepting them in as opposed to agonizing, being antagonistic to them, really. And you're doing stuff like to counter them, not with them. So, yeah, it's like how you're in concert as opposed to in competition. Okay, if world making is a practice distinct from world traveling, the distinction must rest between a movement to an already established world and the collaborative creation of a new one. I mean to emphasize the collaborative aspect, and I suggest that the key mode of collaboration is a playful one in which worlds can emerge out of loving playfulness with one another. Any discussion of world making invites rigorous reflection on what a world is such that its making or unmaking can be legibly referred to. Yeah, this is the trouble. Like at this point, you're just like, okay, we're having experiences together, but what is the actual world at that point? Just like a bundle of experiences that we're having together and that we somehow understand. Like, not a whole lot here. The world is a concept with much history in philosophy, as Sean Gaston notes that concepts of world have been part of Western philosophy since the biblical and classical period, and if the scope of the concept of world is expanded to contemporary considerations of globalization, the literature is even vaster. All this is to say nothing of non-Western thought, which certainly has much to say about the world and worlds. The creation and destruction of the worlds is central to Aztec accounts of the five suns, where the world has been created and destroyed 4 times, and a similar account is found in the Quiche Mayan Popol Vuh, which similarly features multiple creations and destructions of the world, as well as a distinction between the world and underworld. I apologize for how I mispronounce all things. Given that world tends to refer broadly to the horizons we inhabit, it makes sense that Lugonis would broadly define world as our social realities. Yeah, so again, this is the social reality theory of world, and we can only define world in terms of how we are interacting in the social space, which is fair given this stuff. That's okay, but again, what else are we saying about it? It's just that it's necessarily dependent on the people we deal with? Like, what else is there then? In her essay, Lugonis is explicit that she does not want to define precisely what she means by world, for she thinks that the term is suggestive, and she does not want to close the suggestiveness of it too soon. Her usage of the term is tactical, and her aim is to use worlds against the grain of atomic, homogeneous, and monistic understandings of the social in any of its dimensions as a practice of resistance. Okay, so she's using world as opposed to, she's using the general term to avoid the single, like, reality sort of terms. Like there's one reality. No, she's just saying worlds. Always worlds. Author says, I follow her then in thinking about world making from out of experience as a resistant practice that is valuable for its suggestiveness and not primarily for its precise description of a phenomenon. It is risky to eschew rigorous definitions in a work of philosophy, and it serves as one kind of example of the risk involved in being playful, but hopefully a less risky proposition in the wake of Lugonis' own work. I mean, that's fair. Philosophy is lamented for being like navel-gazing and boring, and that's because people want these extremely rigorous definitions. And so the idea is that you have to keep some things a little bit more hazy so that any work can get done. It's true, because like I can guarantee you in 50 years they're going to look back at all of our distinctions that we thought were so clear and be like, no, that was unclear, and we know now that like these things were actually not as secure or as distinct that we thought they were. Like, not so clear and distinct. Oh, this is wrapping up now, I think. All right, last page, basically. In describing world making and playfulness relation to it, I return to Lugonis' own account of loving playfulness in the scene by the riverbank where 2 friends are showing each other stones. Lugonis writes that I laugh and bring the pieces back to you, and you are doing the same with your pieces. The component pieces of this activity can be broken down to understand the work that playfulness is doing and how it can make a world. The gesture that initiates the play is the sharing of the colorful stones with another. Prior to act, the 2 friends Lugonis describes are driven by playfulness. They are walking along a riverbank without a purpose. While purpose can certainly be attributed to their acts by suggesting they are walking to stay in shape or to visit a local hike a friend recommended, Lugonis emphasizes that the driving attitude is playfulness as an openness to surprise. I mean, this is weird though. Like, I don't like this. Openness to surprise. The definition of surprise is usually that you are surprised by it. You were not open to it. It just happened. Now, if you're saying you're open to new experiences or you're not just doing it in the same way that you normally would, I understand. That would be more playful, that you're open to, like, you know, not following the same rules. But openness to surprise, it's a little bit harder to swallow. I mean, I think I know what is meant here. It's like you're trying to, like, you know, get yourself engaged with the world, but openness to surprise just seems a little oxymoronic. The whole point of surprise is that it takes you by surprise. You are not open to it. If you were open to it, would you have been surprised? Maybe not. Okay. The playful activity of the two friends depends on a mutual social recognition, and Lugonis acknowledges the Hegelian register of this point while disagreeing that self-recognition requires tension or hostility. I depart slightly from Lugonis at this point in her focus on subjectivity here, for while world traveling is what enables us to become fully subjects to each other, I want to suggest that playful activity of the two friends goes beyond world traveling to world making by way of their joint creative activity. What occurs is a moment of risk in playfulness where a friend shows another a pretty rock, and the success of the play activity depends on the other friend recognizing what the first friend sees. Yeah, see, I get this. Like, is this play or is this some sort of mutual recognition that you like the same shit? Like, hey, cool rock. Hey, I like your cool rock. It's like stick. I like stick. It's like stick. Cool, stick. But it's like, then they make a game out of smashing rocks. See, little weak again. But this is what the author says. I think that what occurs in the mutual recognition of the pretty rock is not a world traveling by the other friend, but a collaborative activity by both friends that is not reducible to either of their actions as agents and instead concerns a relation between them. This relation opens up a world that is neither one nor the other's world, but another world that is the space of their playing. Okay. So this is fair. You can have a friend and your friend can have mutual activities and you find out your friend likes your activity and you're like, are we best friends now? Like so many activities. So it's like, that is fair. So yeah. I was wondering when you were going to show up, Aris. I was like, I think you stopped listening for a minute. I was like, paging Aris. He's going to have to go read this himself now. He's going to have to go get the VOD. World making is distinct from world traveling in this account because it's not the case that the friend who initially breaks open the stone to reveal its pretty colors is inhabiting a previously existing social reality. It is their original playfulness that comes to reveal a world they make together whose previous existence is indebted to neither of them. In this sense, world making is similar to artistic production by way of what Danto calls a symbol, but where a symbol refers only to a possible world. I follow Lugonis here in referring to actual existing worlds brought into being. Yep, you fell asleep. Well, you need some sleep. Get some rest then. The world that emerges from the activity of the two friends is oriented around a shared appreciation for walking and crashing stones. More relevant than the content of the new world is the way in which it comes into being, and Lugonis' account on Lugonis' account, it depends on playfulness as a fundamental openness to one another. See, this is the thing. You think your friend, you have like some cool stones, and you think your friend wants to see the stones, and so like you smash the stones and you be like, oh, cool stones. And it's like, they're like, oh, they are cool stones. Let's smash more rocks. Now, see, that's kind of fun. So the initial being like, I'm going to smash a stone and show it to my friend, that is an act of creativity, and it's opening up a new social relationship with your friend. And this author is calling this quote kind of a world. Not really sure why it needs to be a world. Could be like some sort of social experience. This is fine, but that's what they're calling play. The ability to find new activities with their own rules that can govern some sort of new social existence with another person. Okay. Ortega's critique of playfulness may be reactivated here in order to ask whether it is ethical or always practical to risk the creation of a world without knowing ahead of time what the contents of that world may be. Yeah, so a new social experience for you. You might be a little worried. It's like, oh dear, this is dangerous. Like, I'm not so sure what the social experience is. Such a criticism is valid when it comes to deciding whether or not one should embark on world making at all, or whether one should world travel with either a playful or critical attitude. It remains that world making must first involve a playful attitude insofar as making a world involves openness and risk without privileging any particular set of rules. So this is fine. They're finally saying something different. You have to avoid your old rule sets. That's what they mean by openness. At least they said this at the end. They could have used to say this before because I was like, I don't know what this openness means. Well, if you're going to avoid any old rule sets, again, that's a little bit hazy, but it's like, okay, we're like sort of running through all the old ways we're acting, and we're trying to leave some space for some new thing to happen. If we're not gonna, we can not act in a certain way. We can not act this way. We can not act that way. We can not act all the different ways. Then you might say, all right, then we might act some different way. Okay, author thinks that for Lugonis, the world traveling, world making is fundamentally social insofar as a world is always social, and the success of world making depends on its recognition by others such that it cannot be a solitary endeavor. In pursuit of liberation and resistance in coalition, it remains important to both hone our critical edges while also risking the uncertainty and fun of being playful to both understand each other and create together. Okie dokie. So yeah. Yeah. Well, that was a mouthful. I knew this was I didn't realize this was double columned when I opened it up, but it was a topic I want to read about, so it takes a while to get through double columned papers. It just does. But yeah. So what's to be said here? Yeah. Now, this is the thing. I'm analytically trained philosopher. I dabble in other stuff. The use of world here is not the way I use it. I mean, I'm using analytic philosophy speak most of the time. World has a very particular meaning in technical philosophy. They were not using it here. They were using it as social experience and intersubjectivity, where you're having social experience with another person of a certain type. That's not a world for me normally. Yeah. Now, how does that actually do anything for you? They're saying you have to be playful in the sense that you are not privileging any of the old ways you're interacting with people, but you're trying to find some new way to have an experience with another person, and that will create a social bond that did not exist before. But since social bonds are how we define reality here, that is actually a new thing in this universe, a new world. So okay, that's something. But let's give it a ranking. As always, everyone here is free to rank. I know this isn't everyone's cup of tea here, but I kind of like this one, especially you see this sometimes. How do you actually describe the world if you're going to talk about social reality? And this one is it's interesting. You make your reality by engaging with another person in a new way. If you are engaging with another person in a new way because you're hey, rock, and they're ooh, rock, you didn't expect that they were going to be rock when you were rock, and that's cool. You're that's exciting. So I think that's something new. But if you were hey, look at this rock, and they're it's a fucking rock, drop it, then you'd be oh, you're disappointed. You don't get to show your friend your rock because your friend don't want to see your rocks, and then you're sad. And so that is an experience, and you can do that on all sorts of things. You try to describe, in philosophy, you try to describe the stuff you're working on. Some people are oh, that's interesting, and never talk to you again. Other people are no, that's really cool, I want to talk about it. It's this is the thing. So what do you think this paper was any good? Let's see. How am I going to rank this? Looking at all these references. It's interesting in that they reference most of the very few references is just the same people over and over and over in this reference list. Yeah, I know you can't see it, but okay. So what do we say? Did this have fun ideas? Oh, anyone who is new here and anyone on the YouTubes, you get to if you want to participate, you write down the title of the emote in chat, and or you can copy it if you're just using Twitch chat. And yeah, so was this a brain dance? Did it have fun ideas make the brain dance? Was this a grapes? Did it make big claims that shriveled up? I don't think this made any big claims. It used big words, but that's not the author's fault. That's the tradition that calls everything a world that is really just a scenario experience or social bonding. That's not really a world for me, but whatever. That's fine. Non-naval, was this navel gazing only for academics? I mean, it's got big words in it, but okay. Ouroboros for deep ancient ideas. I don't know about that. Let's see. The Scream. Existential or artistic drama. I mean, a little bit here, They were talking about how reality, you make your reality artistically through play. So a little bit here. Maybe on that. Nocturne, all style, no substance. It's still poop underneath. Yeah, so it's still kind of a little bit, again, they're trying to say these very big things and they didn't really say a whole lot. And then Nog Knife, slicing and dicing arguments. I'm going to go with, I think, We're gonna get an or. I think I'm actually gonna go with a Nog Scream on this. This is how to be in the world. So it's a little existential, is what it is. We're gonna get a Nog Scream. Add them all together. What's up? If you leave the planet like an astronaut, are you literally out of this world, or does the world accompany you inside your head? This author would say any place there's an agent, there's a world. So the world is accompanying you because it's the social world, and you will still have social relations to the whatever like you're on. Like, so if you're on like a spaceship or on another planet, the social relations you brought from Earth will travel with you because that's the only way you know how to interact with the world, and so you are bringing your world with you. That's what this author would say. So yeah, the world accompanies you because you can only interact with the world in a social way. See, thank you for bringing that up, Adam. Like, this is the sort of thing that happens. Like, you think like this is like you can ask questions like that and it is sensibly answered because you don't have a private world. You don't have a world that you left. The world is in some sense the way you interact with your surroundings, and so it's like, yeah, it's brought with you. So this is one of those things. It's like you have to be real careful when you are like when people say like, oh, they're meeting tribes that like don't know Western man. You're bringing a lot with you, and you don't realize that like the way you interact with them like is changing how they interact with people too. So it's like stuff. All right, so I'm gonna go with Nog Scream for existential artistic drama. You know, I didn't love their version of play. It seemed a little bit. They didn't really define it. So I was like, it just kind of annoyed me. I'd like a little bit more on that, but maybe that's just more what I wanted to hear about than that. It was just like, oh, you get to define new rules for games. Yeah, how do you do that? So wait, I'm gonna give it a Nog Scream, and what else should we call this? I don't know. I'm trying to think. What was this thing called? You think the concept of internal world is a big thing in psychoanalysis? Yeah, that makes sense. Hey, MDD, what's going on? This isn't internal. It's a social world, though. You are internally bringing it with you, but the world that exists for these authors is a social world. And so you can only interact with your world in a social way because that's all you know, or like that's all that really is real for you. So I don't think it's internal. I think it's actually external, but it's only social. It's like it's fundamentally social. And so when it's fundamentally social, then it's not internal because you're always dealing with some other agent at that point. It's a social world. All right. So the question is, what was wrong about this? I just sort of frustrated me. I know I wanted to hear like, how do you actually make new rules for games? Like that would be real interesting. But I feel like that might be unfair for me to ask. Like that's a very hard question, and I don't know if like it's fair. You know what? Let me give it a vote yay, and I'll start feeling less bad. There we go. I'll just be like, okay, I got a scream and a yay. That's what I'm gonna say. So everyone else has a chance to get your votes in if you want. You don't have to, of course. But I appreciate it if you do. So yeah. See, is anyone watching over on the tubes? Nobody's on the tubes. That's okay. Silly YouTubes. I had some I had a pack of like, like salty almonds, and it's not bad to have a bite of eat right before stream. I don't know if that was the right choice of thing to eat, but it wasn't bad. Yeah, so world traveling, like constructing worlds, it's like really is a very big, and they say, oh, and then we're going to use world in a sort of a way. MDD says, that's fair. For example, in philosophy of mind, there's been recent advocates of moving from Descartes' internal mind to a socially extended mind. It seems plausible to me that one might explore a similar move of psychoanalysis, internal world to a social world. Yeah, that seems very very realistic and like thing to do. In fact, isn't this what Hegel's move is kind of? See, problem is I don't know Hegel enough to say anything, but this author actually mentioned Hegel at a spot saying, I think kind of along the lines where what you're bringing up. See if I can find that. Where did Hegel get mentioned? Hegel. See, yeah, right at the end. The playful activity of the two friends depends on the mutual social recognition, and Lugonis acknowledges the Hegelian register of this point while disagreeing that self-recognition requires tension or hostility. Yeah, so they know there's something Hegelian going on here. So, I think that's right. Yep, there it is. So they knew. They knew. And you knew. So that it's good. Yeah, so there's something Hegelian. I don't know my Hegel well enough to comment on Hegel, but yeah, it's true. This paper benefited substantially from feedback and commentary at the 2023 Latina X Feminisms Roundtable, and I am indebted to its supportive and insightful academic community. Okay. You fell asleep? It happens. You know, I was like, I started reading this and I was like, oh dear, the crowd that is normally here, this is not their flavor of thing. But that's okay. You know what? It's cool. Like, I know not every paper's for everyone else. I like this one. Like, I like this stuff where they treat the social. You know what was funny? The mic didn't work for a few minutes before stream too. And so I was like, oh dear. But like, you know, just the USB connection gets a little loose, so it's like I had to fuck with that, but like I got it right up close and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do a little ASMR a little bit. It's fine. I understand. Like I said, everyone's free to do what they want on stream. It's cool. But yeah, so okay, that's it. Thank you everyone for being here and for rating if you do, and that'll be it for this stream, I think, because my voice is a little scratchy and I don't think I can go for another hour, and I don't really want to go for another hour. But yeah, ASMR, like I'm not even, like, I kind of think like I could do ASMR streams, but yeah. Thank you, Aerosol, for claps. Yeah. Hey, I'm walking here, Detroit pizza sucks, don't scoop the bagel. Yeah. And you woke up. Yeah, see, this is one of those weird things about like Twitch streaming. Like people go to sleep listening to with your stream on, and you're like, how many people are asleep listening to me right now? How many people, like, you know, I've said this multiple times, and as long as it's like for personal use, like you can use whatever you want in the stream. Like I can't really stop people from doing that, so I give you full permission. It's like, who's using it for weird things? Like does someone have like a dartboard they throw at and they throw darts at my face? Or are they doing other stuff? I don't know, but it's like, yeah, or are you now getting like subliminal messages of like the kind of pizza that you should be eating beamed into your brain? I don't know. But like this is part of like the weirdness of Twitch. Okay. And I don't think I dropped too many frames today, which is kind of cool. But let's go see if we can find a raid target. Back to Twitch. Following who's live. I don't know if I got anyone I need to raid online. Oh, Anne's live. Go raid Anne. So that's what we'll do. You clip your toenails to Aris's stream. Yeah. I mean, that's one of those things. I'll tune up pizza or bust, exactly. So raid Infernal. I have to be able to spell. Lord Spew? Okay, not anymore. Do you have large talons? We'll go raid in. That's what we do usually. Yeah, but thank you all for being here. Appreciate it. We're gonna have, I think, art coming from Cinesemiotics on the next, like, or coming up for everyone who wants to participate in that. What was that? Let me see if I can grab the link again. So again, if you didn't participate in Cinesemiotics art for stream, you are welcome to participate in the art. So feel free to click on unfound.art, fill out some prompts, and then we will have some art coming in. So don't forget that. We pushed it at the beginning of the stream, but again, do it. Feel free to click, add stuff, and we'll have some AI art. And yeah, thank you all for participating. And like, yeah, we had some right here, like some AI. Well, that's my patent. But like, then we have some art and stuff of like what's going on. Like, so biomechanical devices. But anyway, thank you all. Try to do something interesting for yourself. Try to have a little bit of fun. Participate in a little bit of play, whatever the fuck that means. And I will see you on the other side.